same kind of feel to
It's
that.
like a calypso kind of, you know, weirdo calypso.
That's what it is. It's calypso.
Yeah, and that's what SLY Mongoose really is. This is a calypso. Remember that period in the 40s too. That music was really popular in pop music. You know,
Right, they
jazz.
incorporated into the popular music of the
Yeah,
time.
I mean, remember there was Shandy Pozo from, where was he, from Puerto Rico, right? Shano Pozo, he was the great band leader. He had played congas and drums. Shano Pozo. Gillespie did an album with him.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, Tico.
But you first,
Charlie Parker, I think.
you first heard the Mongoose with Charlie Parker then.
Oh, the only version I've ever heard by any jazz guy is probably Bird, and it's on a live album. He never covered it in the studio. It's one of those albums, those cheap albums like Bird is Free, and Charlie Parker Records.
Right, and that's where you discovered that.
That's what I heard. It has always been one of my favorite Bird songs. He does a solo that is one of the most badass solos I've ever heard him do.
Well, it's such a memorable riff.
But he goes insane on it. He starts to speed into it, and then he goes even wackier. You have to.
We're talking about those time signature things that you incorporated.
Well, that's what he did. Yeah.
The
Change
phrase,
the way,
yeah.
I like.
And then he jerks the beat into backwards and forwards, and it's completely. It's one of the most beautiful solos I've ever heard.
Can you play that little of that Mongoose again? Just so people can hear it.
That's how, no.
There it is.
Yeah, we can't plug you into the amp here.
Yeah, right.
It's better at a faster tempo. Lee Parker used to say.
Swing's better. You know, one thing we should do is, Stephanie, is if you want to take a shower, we should probably do it earlier than later, because we're going to probably be out of here early today. So, and I know there are Mandy, there's a bunch of folks that are going to be lined up. Because we're going to 6 o'clock show we're going to. Sugar mill doesn't matter. You'll be the best selling person there anyway.
And then he goes. He plays part of the mill. And you're like. He goes crazy.
That's cool.
He takes the melody, hits it, and then he improvises on it, and it goes back to the melody.
So he kind of
just for a
establishes
snatch.
just a little bit of that
he
melody, and then
just, he just implies it.
Yeah, right.
Like he implies it, and then he goes nuts, and that's the part where it insists. You know,
Yeah,
that's where
it's mind-blowing.
That's where there'll never be another Parker. I mean,
Right, that's
people
what made him great.
They imitate his technique and his tone, but they can never get his phrasing. But all the modern guys, I'm in New York, and I hear about
What are you looking? Well, you know, I've always liked in phrasing. It's always like conversation.
Right.
It's, you know, different. You know,
well, Mozart's
languages and way you say things. You know, you kind of embellish on things. Same with guitar phrases.
Mozart had a cool saying too. He said, "It should flow like a well. It should flow like a well." Right. In other words, the phrasing should flow like a well.
Yeah,
That's so true. You know, you can. It's not necessarily how complicated it is.
No, it's not. I mean, a lot of Mozart's piano sonatas and piano stuff was really simple. It was like, but they're just so beautiful and melodic.
Exactly.
You know, it's same with Schubert. Schubert was all pure melody. You know, he was one of the only composers who was not influenced by Bach because he was too poor as a kid to afford Bach's sheet. He's one of the only romantic composers who has no Bach in him. And all the other guys did. Mendelssohn, was contemporary. everybody after that, of course, but he was one of the only composers, romantics, so the early romantics, who was not influenced by rock. And it's amazing when you think of the amount of melody he put out. And I think people like Charlie Parker, you know, or Louis Armstrong, you know,
I got a lot of Louis Armstrong, Charlie Parker. I got a lot of jazz.
and Louis was Mr. Melody too. I mean, he was just this guy who could come up with melodies off the top of his
So you
head.
hear some guys, they just they do this stuff. It becomes a technical exercise. But it's just like it doesn't go anywhere. To me, I mean, I don't. That's why I describe it. The music doesn't go anywhere. And you know, you say, "Oh my goodness, look at this guy's."
Well, you know,
moving his
they're
fingers."
technically really good players,
Yeah.
but it's like it's their conversation, what they're trying to say, you know, and it's like what.
Yeah, and I think it goes in cycles too, because like I collect old recordings of classical pianists and classical string quartets, and you'll hear in different eras certain different differences. Like Vladimir de Pachman doing Chopin is completely different than, for instance, you know, Vladimir Ashkenazy. And Ashkenazy's approach to Chopin is very note for note, which is how it's taught in conservatory since like really since the 40s and 50s. Whereas the guys like de Pachman were born in 1860. He was one of the very first people to actually record, not just on wax cylinders, but on electrical recordings. And I have a really big collection of his stuff. And it's amazing to hear him do it and hear other variations. But those guys were taught. They learned from people who actually were pupils of Chopin. And actually in de Pachman's case, I think he was one of Liszt's students. So he, you know, these guys had a direct line right to it, you know. And the Russian-Hungarian piano tradition is really where we had improvisation.
Rachmaninoff and people like that.
Rachmaninoff, he was part of that. I mean, some of them had different teachers. I think he was a student of Lashinsky, I think. No, he either Lashinsky or Anton Rubinstein. He was the father of Russian piano, but they carried on the traditions of Liszt and Chopin. You know, because Chopin put piano music ahead about 50 years. You know.